Hey, Guy and Roseanne here. Welcome back to Amore Van. Today we're talking to a full-time Embassy RV couple. Okay, we're seated in front of this beautiful Dolphin S, Embassy Dolphin S. And you guys have seen tours of the Dolphin S before, including ours. But what you haven't seen before is us talk to a couple that is full-timing in their Dolphin S. We did an interview some time ago with Tom, who is a solo traveler in a Dolphin SS, but this is different. This is two people trying to live out of a Class B RV, which presents its own challenges, and so we want to talk about that today. All right, so let's just start off with you guys introducing yourselves.
Oh, my name's Gary.
I'm Patty.
And your Dolphin S is what year? 2023?
It's a 2024 Embassy build on a 2023 Ford Transit.
Okay, so when did you pick it up?
We picked it up in March of 24.
So just looking at it, and I've had a chance to look inside, and you guys are seeing it now. It's pretty much the same as our Dolphin S. Obviously, the layout is the same. The one thing that we were just chatting with offline here is you guys have the open windows, which are not available when we got ours, and so we're really jealous about that. But other than that, you have the split air, right?
Yes.
Do you have a fan or anything on the roof?
We do not.
So no openings in your roof, at least not yet.
No.
And you elected to go with the so far with the box extension for the bed.
Yes.
Right? And so if you've seen our tour, you're familiar with their van because it looks pretty much the same inside except for a couple of color choices. If you haven't seen our tour, I'll put a link in the description to this video so you can see the full-blown tour of the Dolphin S. But after getting the van in March, I guess you took a few trips, tested it out, make sure, kick the tires, that kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. So one major trip that we did was we went and drove to South Carolina to have the bug wall screens installed, both on the side and then the rear. And that was kind of a shakedown trip for us. We spent a couple of nights in the national park, and it was a lot of driving, but it helped us get familiar with the systems and maybe try to figure out what we liked, didn't like, in terms of where we were storing things, how we were maneuvering around the van, those kinds of things. So that was our first major trip that we did.
And you guys are retired?
We are, yes.
And so you got it in van, but got it in March, the van, but in June you took a huge leap of faith. Tell us what you decided to do in June.
Well, we decided to go full-time. So we kind of planned it for a couple of years to go full-time. And so we sold our house a couple of years prior and went to an apartment. So that was our first downsize, which was difficult, challenging in its own way. But then from a 2-bedroom apartment to the van in June and full-time. So we have no home base.
Yeah. And some people who go full-time do it after having had some years of experience in traveling in RVs and having tried out different sizes and so forth. Not you guys, right?
No, we did not have any experience. I mean, we did camping and some backpacking and things like that. So we definitely like the outdoors. But in terms of RV travel, no experience. And, it looked perfect on YouTube. It looks great on YouTube. There's no issues. It's all fun and rainbows and unicorns. But
nothing ever stops working on YouTube, right?
No, right, exactly. Exactly.
And there's no no-see-ums on YouTube, which we have some here at this campground right now.
If you see scratching out.
We are in beautiful sunny Florida today at Sebastian Inlet, which is a terrific campground right on the water, and it's a great place to be. But as you know, if you do any camping in Florida, you got to take the bad with the good, and sometimes the bad is what the Scottish call the wee bastards, the little no-see-ums. So we've got a few of those today. Yesterday was windy, that kept them away, but the wind has died down a little. So what are some of the challenges for two people living in a Class B RV?
You want
yeah, it's not much a challenge, but you just learn to take turns. Say, we were talking about this yesterday as well, dressing or changing. Like only one person can be in that little back cabin area. So we take turns. Like, okay, are you getting dressed now? All right, I'll get dressed. You get dressed. So just kind of, and then maneuvering by each other. But other than that, That's our only thing that I.
Yeah, I think it's learning. It's a learning process, work in process kind of thing. And yeah, I mean, any couple knows that you know, if you're in a house or something, you have some alone time. There's places to go,
Right.
kind of away. In here, there's really nowhere to go unless you go outside. So you really do have to like each other to spend this much time.
You better get along.
And you
right?
better get along, yes. But you do make it work, and I think the layout of the Embassy Dolphin makes it feel open and airy, so we don't feel claustrophobic. We don't feel tight. So
although we
it
are
works
smaller,
for us.
we're not 6 foot and
True.
bigger people. That's one good plus.
And I hear what you're saying. When we started looking for an RV, and I looked at all kinds of different models, and one of the things that really attracted us to the Dolphin S is that it just seems so much bigger inside because of the open floor plan
And the windows.
It's not, compartmentalized. You don't have the bathroom shoved in on 1/3 of the van, and you're trying to maneuver around it or any of that. Yeah. And the big open windows that really helps. How about equipment wise, the stuff that you bring along? I know that we make changes over time. Have you found that you have to adjust and improve your supply planning?
We've just kind of I think learned as we went, right? I mean, there are a few things that we've brought with that we haven't used yet or used very little, and that's just one of the things we'll have to adjust maybe after this first year and see if we need to remove some things. But yeah, it's really a learning process. But I don't see anything major.
No, but I like the way that right off the bat, our above the refrigerator, the storage spot, we have the Instapot. You go ahead and say the
Instapot, air fryer, and our portable induction top fit right up there.
Perfectly,
so
all
three of those cooking options fit perfect. So yeah, I mean, I don't think we'd change any of those.
No. And we noticed, maybe some of you have figured this out, like on the road, not every shell their vacuum cleaner works, or the ones at car washes you have to get a car wash, maybe just want to vacuum out the van. And we didn't think we'd have space for one, and we were just going to get a portable car one that maybe works. And we said, you know what, those aren't that good, they don't have attachments. So we actually got a Shark wet dry vac from Walmart, and we found a spot for it, which we didn't think we would have room and want, but we do like it.
Roseanne's hearing that and thinking, can we fit one of
Because
those?
when you're on beaches, like the gravel, the gravel and the sand, and you're forever sweeping it out. So it's kind of nice to get that little part between the front two seats, that rug area, kind of clean with the vacuum, because the ones at the gas stations just don't cut it.
If you're wondering where Roseanne is, by the way, as you're watching this, someone's holding the camera, and that's Roseanne. What was I just going to ask you? I don't remember. But you have storage somewhere, right? Storage facility where you can keep the rest of your stuff.
We do, yes, we do have a storage facility with most of our things that were left after we gave a lot of it away to family. So we visit that. That's Chicago. So we visit there. We have family there,
and we have a storage unit.
We have a Yeah, that's what he's just saying. Yep.
And so when you're planning for a change of seasons or camping in a different climate, you can go back and switch out some of your stuff, right?
We could, although we kind of are prepared for that. We don't plan on being in too many places that's very cold, but a few layers of clothes, and just not very many options. That's kind of where we learned.
Stopped at the storage unit in December when we went home, and we put in stuff that but we didn't take anything out, so that was kind of good, because we accumulated some things after the 6 months.
All right, so 6 months, now 7 months. Where are some of the places you've been traveling?
Well, we started out, from Chicago, and then kind of headed northwest through Wisconsin, Minnesota, and then up to Banff. Banff was a big stop for us, through Glacier and into Banff. And then headed to Washington State, and then down the coast, and then southwest, and then looped back around to Chicago for the Christmas time for a couple of weeks, and then made our way back here to Florida for the winter time.
So we were in Washington and Oregon last year as well. Probably drove right past you, right?
Yeah, probably.
why full time? What was it that appealed to you about the idea of going full time?
Well, we debated that quite a bit as we led up to, you know, should we have a home base to go to, shouldn't we? And we just felt that to have a home base, and that's just another thing to worry about while we're on the road, because we thought we would be on the road quite a bit, at least half the time minimum, if not more. And we thought, you know, that's just another thing to worry about, is the home, right? If a storm comes through or whatever, right? Just to maintain it, etc. So we thought, let's go. We'll go for a minimum of a year, and then we'll take it from there. And so far, we're coming on close to a year, and we have no thoughts of stopping, and it's been great. And so who knows how long we'll go for. And now we don't have a house or home base to worry about while we're out here.
Yeah.
And of course, nice window of time.
None of us are getting any younger, so maybe the day will come when you can't do it anymore. So do it now while you can. Right?
Exactly.
That's what we thought. We like to hike, and this is the time. Yeah.
So you told me where you've been. What's next? What's on your sort of 2 or 3 things that you're dying to go see?
Well, we really haven't spent much time up the east coast of the United States, the Northeast for sure, like all the way up to Maine. So we haven't spent any time traveling that coast. So we're going to do that this summer, and then maybe end up in Maine for the fall colors is kind of our hope, and maybe explore a little bit of Canada.
We'll go back, Montreal.
And then kind of.
We're going to be in Maine in July for a while. So.
Well, there you go. We may cross paths again. But so that's it, and then after that, maybe back west again next year, and you know, there's so much to see.
Oh, you never run out of
in
beautiful
this
places.
Country, right? Exactly. So we're excited to keep exploring.
Has there been anything that sort of surprised you versus what your expectations were going in, either about the van or about travel or about full-time life?
Do you have anything?
I can't think of anything.
So I mean, the van has really been worked out beyond our expectations. I mean, we really have no complaints on the embassy part of it, and really the Ford part of it is worked well. So as far as that, the layout, everything is the systems, everything has been great. One thing that is a little bit surprising to me, I don't know, but everybody says this, the people that you meet along the way, including you guys and the embassy family. But aside from that, the people we've met just traveling kind of like we do, and like-minded, and you strike up conversations, and you just feel like you meet new friends all the time. And that's been one of the real positives of this adventure.
It's funny that you say that, because Roseanne and I had exactly the same reaction to our first big trip in our van after we got it, because we weren't campers. You guys at least were campers, right? Roseanne and I were not campers. It was like, okay, well, what are we going to do when we retire? Well, we're going to buy this RV and go all around the country, spend 6 months a year in it camping. And have we done any camping? No. So it was a leap of faith for us. And one of the things that we sort of both noticed in that first trip was just how nice people in the campground were. And I remember mentioning it to a fellow camper. I said, geez, I can't get over really how pleasant, how nice, how willing to help everybody in the campground is. And he said, well, you have to remember, everybody here is either on vacation or retired. So they're pretty happy.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
That's true. That's true.
No worries, right?
I'll tell you one quick story. We were at a Walmart in California, staying the night, right? Pulled in just like everybody that stays in a Walmart does. And another van pulled in a few spots from us, typical. And we're eating dinner, finishing up dinner, and we had a knock on the van door. And we thought, oh no, we're going to have to move, right? That's what you think when you get a knock. But it was the woman from the other van that pulled in, and she invited us to her van for a drink, and her and her husband. So we went over, you know, I'm like, sure, let's go. And Patty's like, I don't know, should we go? I don't know.
Ask her if she's an axe murderer.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. So we went over, and it turns out they're from France, and they shipped their van over from France, and we're traveling around the U.S. for the year. And we just had a great 2-3 hour conversation with them. And that was one of the things that, you know, you don't expect, and it happens. And it was just a great experience to meet them.
Now, how about travel style? Are you guys a stay 3 or 4 days and move on type of travelers, or throw out the anchor for a couple weeks type of travelers?
Yeah, well, it's interesting you say that, because we typically, coming from, just vacation time to travel, right? You have a certain amount of time, you have to plan, you have an itinerary, you got to be somewhere and get these things done before the week or 10 days of your vacation. Well, that's kind of how we started. We kind of had more of a plan and an itinerary, and we've kind of gotten less and less of that style where we really don't know where we're going to be in the next week or the next couple of weeks.
We're going.
The general direction, but
unless we have reservations.
We've kind of learned to slow down a little bit more. I would like to slow down a little bit more than she would like to.
3 days is enough.
Yeah.
3 or 4, like you said. Move on.
That's just one of those things that you kind of learn as you go, right? Because we didn't know what we didn't know, and so
in the beginning, you needed a lot of reservations for Banff and Glacier. In the beginning, you had to have those.
There are a few places like
the state
Glacier.
parks.
If you want to go to Glacier when going to the Sun Road is open, you better have a reservation.
Yeah, you're kind of committed then, so you have those committed.
Or you can always camp in the surrounding national forest, but if you want to camp in the park.
Exactly.
And speaking of camping locations, do you have sort of favorites as far as, do you prefer the state and national parks? Do you prefer, private parks? Given the choice, where do you prefer to camp?
Yeah, I would say that the national and state parks are probably our preferred. We've stayed at very few private parks. Three, I think, over the 8 months. But
the pools and hot tubs were nice.
Yeah, once in a while.
That I will say.
Every once in a while, right? If you've depending on the nature of the state and national parks you've been staying in, you might find yourself, it would be really nice to have a place with some more amenities for a day and get all the laundry done and do all that stuff and then go back to the state and national parks.
Right. It's really for the convenience of being near and in the park versus driving in and out. It's just that's a lot of driving. Some parks, like Big Bend, when you're talking
love Big Bend.
Yes. But if you're not, we try to stay at the 2 or 3 different campgrounds. Glacier, same thing on each end. So we are right there in the action in that spot. Explore that area, go another few nights, another area, explore it, go another few. Where if you're just staying in an RV park outside the park, you are driving back and forth. Same with Yellowstone. I mean, we did that years ago, but you have to stay in my opinion, you stay in the park if you want to enjoy yourselves.
And you said that one of your activities that you enjoy is hiking, right? And one of the advantages to staying in the parks is being able to get to that trailhead before everybody else, right?
I mean, you even have some that go right off of your campground sometimes. And with this van, you can park at trailheads.
Oh, that's right. Well, one of the things that we do, I think we mentioned this in a recent video, and one of the reasons we like to stay in the parks is that some of the national parks where they're, if you're there in season, they can be crowded. And some of the popular trails, the trailhead parking can be crowded, is that we'll roll out of bed in the morning, still in our pajamas, and just get in the driver's seat, go to the trailhead, and park. Right? Now we got our spot. Well, now we can get dressed and have coffee and breakfast and so forth. We did that at Grand Teton, and there were a couple of trailheads where by the time we then got dressed and had our breakfast, there wasn't a parking spot within a mile. And so that really works out. And it's one of the great things about Class B, right? You can't do that if you're in a different rig where, you can drive your car there, but then all your stuff is behind. Right?
Exactly. Yeah, that's the beauty. You have everything there. You can eat, you can change, if it's raining, you can change clothes. And we have that same experience that we did in Banff, Lake Louise. We went
you have to get there
crack of dawn and got a spot, and then there was no parking.
And you mentioned Big Bend and you mentioned hiking. If you're a hiker and you don't go to Big Bend, you're missing out because that is a hiker's paradise.
That was great. That's fantastic.
How about advice for people who are trying to decide, full-time, not full-time, maybe give us a little bit of your thought process and what you would tell other people who were thinking about it and trying to decide whether to pull that trigger.
You have anything? The only thing I would say is if you have no RV experience or camping experience, I would say if you can rent something, you may not be able to rent the exact rig that you're thinking about purchasing, but if you can rent something and go on a trip, at least that'll give you an idea of what the experience might be like. That's what I would recommend. I mean, there is so much content like your YouTube channel and many others where you can get a real good feel for what it's like. But until you actually do it, and you're in the van and you're right next to your spouse for a long period of time, it's hard to get the feel. So I would give that advice.
We talked about that, and we thought about renting one for a couple weeks to try it out in like Colorado a couple years ago.
Yeah,
but
we didn't. But we rented a Class C at one point, one of those Cruise America.
We see them everywhere.
That, but you know, but we were pretty confident in
we could do it.
Our experience.
Just because we travel a lot and we're camp
a lot of car trips, those kinds of things. So
we,
I suppose a couple could restrict themselves to one room in the house for a month. And see how they're getting along.
The dog house and the other right. I got it.
Dog house would be good for you.
Maybe just make sure each of you have earbuds, because if you want to listen to something and somebody wants to read or somebody wants to do something, the earbuds are great for because we watch or listen to a lot of the same stuff, but sometimes somebody wants to do something different, so earbuds are great.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks so much for your time. Thanks for letting us look at your van and telling everybody about what it's like to be a full-timer. And I'm sure we're going to see you guys we know we're going to see you at, there's 2 embassy meetups coming up. Well, one of them is an embassy meetup in Ocala coming up next weekend. 2 weekends.
2, I think.
2 weekends. And there'll be a whole bunch of embassy vans there. And then there is the Peace, Love, and Vans event that's run by Van Life Outfitters. And there'll be hundreds of vans there, including about 40 or 50 embassy vans that will be there. So if you're in Florida and you want to see an embassy, maybe check out Peace, Love, Vans, because I know you can get day passes, or maybe it's sold out. I don't know. I think the campground is sold out, but I think you can still just go for the day. As always, if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. And if you're not already a subscriber, click on the icon that just popped up on your screen. Until then, we'll see you next time.
We hope you found this helpful, and we'll see you next time here on Amore Van.